year and a half or so, but really like steam over the last 6 months.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the first 6 months was like just like what is a podcast? What are we talking about?
Yeah.
Like who gives a shit? Who
Yeah.
should we have on?
Yeah.
Now we've kind of turned to where it's like we're really just focused on gear and the movement progression forwards with like no fluff, no bullshit. Just you know, what are we talking about? The stuff we would talk about in a conversation. That's what we focus it on.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the X-Flows podcast. Thanks for tuning in. I got Walt, unofficial co-host, and we got Matt here. And I was going to say your last name, but I read it 16 times and still couldn't. So
Elsasser.
Thanks for joining, man.
No, thank you guys for having me. My first podcast. So
Really?
I don't say anything too crazy.
No, you should. Yeah, that's exactly why.
That's exactly why you should be on the podcast.
I'll say some crazy shit, man.
yeah. It's low risk.
So you just launched this Hydrocraft, which I'm sure has been a little bit of a project.
Yeah.
Right? So we'll dig into that. And we wanted to talk to you because we saw it, like, he's been chatting about it a little bit. Because he's been seeing you guys around.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, so you're like, Dylan, these foils are pretty good, dude. I need to ride them. We need to talk to them, see what's up. And then like you made the announcement. I was like, well, fuck. Now we waited too long. We should definitely hit them now.
The timing is good. We're still very early in the process, so it's good time to chat about it.
Yeah. Awesome. So tell us a little bit like how that got started. Normally podcasts like dig into the history, where you came from, where your mother was born. But if you
don't know who Matt is, you haven't been on Instagram. So we'll just go ahead.
And also you guys put up something on Instagram that got into like a little bit of history and your story and stuff, which was really cool.
Yeah.
It was well done.
Oh,
I liked it.
Yeah. Trying to show a little bit of the vibe behind the brand and who's a part of it. And
so who is a part of it?
So who's a part of it? We've got a pretty killer team, which is Brody Sutherland.
Brody.
We
were trying to remember his name.
Lives right around the corner from me here in Hood River. He's been initially was designing unmanned aircraft here in Hood River, which is a pretty popular career path for engineers. And then
unmanned aircraft?
Yeah, like drones.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
So he's like, dude, I can design unmanned aircrafts. How hard could a foil be?
There's
a lot of people in foiling that do that. That came from drones.
I mean, Hood River is a mecca for military drones. There's a huge industry here it started with in situ, and now there's probably, I think, 7 or 8 spin-off companies all making different parts and stuff. So he was doing that and then got into designing foils for Cabrina, probably, I don't know, 8 years or so ago. We've got Sean Ordonez, who is a Maui legend and absolute character. If you ever get the opportunity to meet him.
Super cool.
Yeah. So he's doing the board design. Brody's doing the foil design. Sam Shannon is a good friend of ours from the East Coast.
He's just like hyping it. He's full hype man
for a few years. And he's going to kind of oversee our retail shop that we're working on. And then a good
retail
friend
shop.
Yeah.
Here in Hood.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. We were talking about it earlier. I think it's going to be rad.
You gonna sell acai bowls and coffee?
I don't know about the acai bowls. I don't know about the blenders going off when you're trying to talk about an aspect ratio, but definitely some coffee.
Yeah, some nice espresso. Just keeping it classy.
Maybe we'll get Walt in there brewing some beer. Who knows?
There we go.
I feel like that's illegal.
Yeah. And
it's Oregon.
Anything goes here.
Yeah.
And then my buddy Henry McNamara, who's on Maui, is going to kind of help us oversee sales in Hawaii. So pretty small crew, but diverse in different talents and skill sets. And more than anything, just a core group of foilers who are foiling every day.
Yeah.
Pretty high level foiling crew too. You know what I mean? Like you guys are all very committed to the sport at this point. It's awesome to see that because we talk about that a lot with design of products in general. Is like making sure you have the right riders testing the gear for feedback is so important, right? Because you can design something, get out there and try and like feel it out. But at the end of the day, if as soon as you put it to market, somebody else is going to be pushing it harder than you are, then did you really get the feedback you needed? You know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've got a good crew, a good enough crew of riders that we can try a product before letting someone else try it and kind of have an idea of like, oh, we're probably not going to make a complete fool ourselves by trying handing this product over to them. And everyone's kind of in a little bit different conditions. Obviously, Brody and Sam Meyer and Hood River a lot, and then get over to Maui in the winter, and Henry and Sean are over there. So it's kind of a good mix of like downwind mecca conditions of high speed stuff in the ocean, and obviously more kind of surfy downwind conditions here in the river. So
Have you had a chance to ride your foils over in Maui much this last season?
I went over there maybe a month ago to hang out with Sean and Henry and test some boards and foils and everything, and get them in the salt water and kind of feel how
Feel the
they're
difference,
feeling there. Which there's definitely a little bit of difference, but I was happy that our kind of 10 aspect ratio foil was still working about how I thought it would in the ocean, and still pretty
Like in Maliko.
Yeah, Maliko run. Not like Nukin Maliko run.
Yeah.
But salt.
Apparently, I've never had it nuking. I go there every time, and everybody's like, "Oh, that wasn't a prop. It wasn't really windy. It was only like 35." I'm like, "Come on, man. This has got to be getting proper."
I mean, when it's proper, you'll definitely. It's kind of like here, where it's like when it really
Until you
hits
know,
that
you
other
know.
gear, you're like,
Dude.
"Oh, that's the
That's the
gear
gear.
that people were talking about."
Yeah, but here it gets like crazy windy. Does it
Yeah.
get that windy in Maui? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
I
I
guess it does the same
here
kind of blasting.
it feels crazy because it's like 10. Sometimes it like drops down to 10. There's glass, and then it's like 40. You know?
the difference between here and Maui, as far as like really good conditions go, is here the conditions can get super good in like a day. Maui, it can be super windy and good, but for it to go that like next level where people are like, frothing out of their minds, it's like a 5-day buildup of like nuclear trade winds, and then it just sends these, swells
Monsters.
into orbit. So it needs to like build on itself more in Maui for a handful of days, and then it goes.
Yeah, whereas here,
Ballistic.
it could be 30 minutes, dude. It cranks up, and all of a sudden,
Oh yeah,
it's a hurricane in the river.
yeah. There's just so much less fetch here and more
exactly.
bends in the river and current and everything. So it does. I mean, yeah, 30 minutes of. I mean, the second it starts blowing hard here, the swell is there.
Mhm,
So-
totally. So, why make a foil, right? Like,
Not satisfied.
what was the journey?
I think that's the question I probably get the most often, especially because it's a crowded market. Like if you look down at AWSI, I don't think anyone is like waking up in the morning and being like, "Oh, I want a new foil company." There's a ton of competition.
Until now.
Yeah. Until now. There's a ton of competition, a lot of people making great products, especially like in the last year or two. I think the overall level of the playing field has like risen a lot. Before it was like a
It's going up.
couple of good foils and some foils that weren't that good. And now you kind of look at everything and like, man, everything is pretty damn good. And obviously there's some, standouts and people pushing it further than others, but the level is super high. I kind of, as a competitive person, like that. And I was working for Lyft for years and kind of exited there. And kind of in that same time that I was at Lyft, like my dad passed away surfing, my grandma passed away. There's a lot of like death in a small amount of time. And ultimately, once I kind of took that step back, I was like, I'm just going to sit on the sidelines for a little bit, look at the industry, look at, am I burned out on foiling? Am I not? Am I still wanting to develop products? I want to go sell lawnmowers. What do I?
You're like, these zero turns are pretty sick, man. I could get into some zero turn lawnmowers.
There's some sick electric lawnmowers out there right now that were getting me excited. That might be next. There's a whole revolution of the electric lawnmower frontier, but we'll
get
to
it next podcast. Next podcast.
podcast. So just kind of taking a little bit of time off was still foiling every day. And I think once you work in a brand and you get a taste of like developing products, seeing them come to light, like being able to tweak the gear for like how you like it, or maybe how your family members will like it, or your friends, and you kind of get it's like a drug a little bit. It's the same as like working with a shaper, like you guys with Frank on boards and stuff. It's like once you start like tapping into that evolution and the gear's getting better, and you're like, and you feel it come to life,
like, oh man,
feel it, and your ideas are kind of working. You're like, man, I wanna keep doing that. So definitely sitting on the sidelines, I was like, man,
put me in, coach. I can do it.
I miss tinkering with gear. I miss being a part of it all. And then at the same time, kind of the people that are part of the team now, we were in touch, and they're like, hey, let's do something. And that kind of just is like, all right, we've got the right team here. There's a big part of it for me too is there's no real brand like Hood River, Mecca, the spot. There's tons of brands with offices in here and stuff, but there's no brands here that are really owned by people that live here anymore and that are out there riding every day. And like, I want to compete against the brands in Australia and New Zealand and these other places that are coming to the gorge a couple weeks out of the year and like selling a bunch of product here. It's like, let's bring that back home to the home team. We've got really talented engineers here, talented people. And so just the crew coming together, seeing some opportunity there, and also just kind of as the market's evolving, and inspired by, brands like Code and KT and stuff that have assembled these awesome teams of people and really made a big splash in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Kind of gave me that feel like,
Gave you the push.
If other people are doing it, like we can do it. Life is freaking short. The clock is ticking. Like, let's go for it. And I think, part of it is too, people are always like, oh man, you're not like, when I left, people are like, you would never like start a company in this industry again or like work in this industry again. And I'm like, I love that industry. And I think there's a lot of opportunity for people in the future in this industry. And I hope, we can kind of change that stigma. And, there's lots of brilliant people like yourself that are in this industry and get people bought back into it and build brands the right way and build them profitably and, build stuff, buy riders for riders. It's such a cliche. But
it's what we want, right?
Yeah.
Like it's what we want. And I think we talked about this a lot over the last 6 months. It's like, we know foiling's got legs, right? Like foiling is in a lot of ways probably the future of water sports. And it's like,
it connects all of us.
It connects all of us, right? And it connects all the sports,
surfers and all of it, kiters, like whatever.
Yeah. And as that happens, like, look, we're gonna build a bigger group. We're gonna build a bigger community, and it's like us as kind of like being part of the beginning of this journey as founders in the sport when you are starting a company or some of these older guys, and then just people who are like actively promoting it. Eventually you're gonna have a bigger crew, and they're gonna want more variety, and they're gonna want smaller brands, right? That have more of like a lineage in the area or like a way to feel more connected. And I think there's plenty of room for like big houses and small houses. I mean, we've been talking about F4 some.
Yeah.
A good example of like a smaller brand. You brought up Code. I think there's there's a lot of room there for a lot of different styles of foil production to happen because everybody's going to want their own kind of signature feel and experience. And I think you guys are coming at the right time, man, because it's all upward right now, right? This is the time to get in.
Just get ready for it because we've got like a shop. You're gonna be answering the phone. They're gonna call you like, hey, what shim should I be using for like this 9 whatever with this tail and this fuse, and you're going to talk to them for hours. They're going to buy a 3-cent shim from you.
Yeah. That's the Sam's for, right? That's what Sam's for.
That's what we'll have Sam in there dealing with that now. It'll be a group effort to
but that's what they want. They want to talk to
sure.
They know, like when they call, I mean, at the beginning somebody's going to answer the phone that they know and trust, and
and I think that's definitely something we want to lean into, is being able to connect with the customers and really give them like a legitimate answer to their question about a product from people that know what's going on. Cause there's so many, no foils are just like popping out of thin air without a lot of decisions being made along the way and a few people that know a ton about that product. And with a shop like what you have, you're able to like talk to those customers with the firsthand experience of, if you shin it this way, it's going to feel like this or that. But that's moderately rare, I would say, with shops now to have someone as dialed in on the gear as you are and know, like, really be able to give the customer a proper answer, not just like send them out on some freaking tailwind.
Or just be selling whatever you're supposed to be promoting that week, or you know what I mean, like where it's just like you're just kind of bought into a brand and like, why are you selling it? You're not even sure, right? I think a lot of shops function that way.
Yeah. So the more questions we can field from customers, the happier I will be, and hopefully we can do a good job of getting back to them and responding and making them feel a part of what we have going on and not from the outside looking in. It's the goal. So,
well, and clearly you're the first foil brand to be, designing a foil focused on freshwater downwinding, right? Like the foil's designed for this place, but it's obviously tested and designed with this place in mind. And you are choosing to be like, you're going after kind of a surf downwind foil, which, most brands are kind of attacking different directions as they launch, right?
Yeah, I think, we have to start somewhere to really test the connection system and stuff we've been working on. And so the first foil we want to design, we're like, what can we have fun on riding in the river at a fairly high level? And what's something that we can get like, my mom out winging on and Brody's parents out winging on and get like a large range of feedback, maybe from people that aren't purely just like downwind frothers like we are. And for sure, like when it comes to product, we're focused on building foils that are going to work really good here in Hood River and foils that are going to work really well in Maui conditions, which, might sound a little bit like short-sighted or with the blinders on, but the reality is like Hood River, Hawaii, two pretty big markets. I feel like if you can really put a stakehold down in those markets, you can have a lot of success. And, we're probably not going to be the brand to like have, the best like pump scooter because like we don't do that.
Dude, don't discount pump scooter.
Yeah.
Could be the future, man.
You said you weren't going to say anything bad on this podcast.
There's no shade to the pump scooter, but
No shade to the pump scooter.
I might pump scooter if I lived on a lake in Switzerland. I don't know.
Yes.
But we don't live there. We're focused on building products for our backyard. And I think there'll be a lot of carryover into conditions in other places. And we definitely want to, tap into the markets that we can. But to start, you got to start somewhere. And we're focused on the backyard.
They talk a lot over there and over here.
Yeah. It's a feedback between the two, right?
Dude, you go there and you're like, here, try this foil. Don't tell anybody and just see what happens. see how it gets back to you in a loop between like 8.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe like the 10 frothers.
You're like, don't tell anybody.
Bing.
You're like, off on your watch. You're like, God, how'd that happen so fast? No, but like seriously, between the two, as much as we go, okay, they're these like epic spots that are known for mega conditions and strong winds.
And Puerto Rico.
We can test some shit in Puerto Rico. I'm sure if it works here and it works in Maui, which is kind of my point, it'll work in Puerto Rico, right? Because this is an incredibly slow moving wave. As much as like we've got a lot of lift because of the current and everything, you're working and surfing at a really low end range on the foil, no matter what foil you put on. You're never pushing up into the upper limits of it. Whereas when you go to test in Maui and you head off on Maliko, now you're in some of the fastest water on the planet, right? And you're going to be like pushing at the upper limits. So if you can design a foil that can surf in the river here and still perform well on Maliko, I think, you probably got a product that's going to work in almost any conditions on the planet, right?
For sure. And it's going to be probably
Matt's like totally different. That's exactly
different
in the whole world.
The whole world.
Definitely different products for different conditions. Like what I ride every day on Maui, I'm not really going to ride every day here. It's funny, like when I go back and forth, sometimes I'll be on Maui for the winter and, oh, I love this foil. Bring it back to the river and I'm like, oh, that feels completely different in the river because the pace of it is just so different. And you don't need all that speed here. We're in Hawaii or in, probably Puerto Rico, and it's nuke and windy. Like, you need as much speed and glide as you can get versus here, you need a certain amount, but really what you want to be doing for the most part when you're just out there pair winging or downwinding and having fun is like, how many times can I do as easily as I can with as little pumping as possible? So
I don't know. I feel like I'm going super fast out there. Sometimes those bumps feel like, I guess you're not going very fast, but it just feels like it. It feels like you're sections. Like,
I think it's a different kind of speed where
No, it doesn't
ocean, you need the speed and the glide.
You need a
versus
projecting
here,
speed. Yeah.
you can get away with having speed, but having like stability at speed, but having a slightly smaller aspect ratio that still turns. You don't need quite as much of that like carry to get you between these big stretched out bumps.
Yeah, because they're so close.
They're close and they're steep here, right? Which I think, anyways, and there's no way you're not, you're definitely going to tap into the low end of your foil in the gorge. Like that's kind of the magic here is like, it's all about like, how well does your foil perform at the low end, which is, a good juxtaposition to exactly what you're saying. Because if you're not going fast enough, you're not in the game. At Maliko, like if you can't keep up with the bumps, you're just peeling and rolling back and it kind of just trashes the run, right? As soon as you get a foil that can keep up with the bumps, all of a sudden the landscape opens up because you're moving, you're moving in all four directions instead of just two directions, right? You're moving forward, side to side. Whereas like, if you don't have a foil that can like glide and be efficient and keep up with the bumps, you're just sliding back the whole time.
Yeah.
Whereas this place is incredibly three-dimensional, right? Like you're up, down, you go underwater, you come back up. The gorge is crazy. So you want to talk a little bit about the foil section, your connections and stuff. Like you guys got some kind of new solutions, which I thought was super cool, and probably should definitely talk about your connection system and the way you've got like a through mast, which is crazy. I've never seen that before, right? Where it basically runs straight through the fuselage.
Yeah, so the connection system, I mean, when we kind of started this project and I was taking a little time off, I was just buying foils from everyone pretty much.
I was going to ask that too. What did you ride post lift?
A little bit of everything. I bought, I think, 4 or 5 different setups, Armstrong, some F1 stuff, some KT stuff, and then having those foils are like little Pokemon cards that I could trade off with people at the beach and be like, hey, let me try that
Pokemon
whatever,
cards. Yeah,
whatever brand you got. And they're like, well, what do you have? I'm like, well, you can try the KT or the Armstrong. And
yes, like, here's my deck.
Sick. So that kind of enabled us to try a little bit of everything and just kind of see like,
that's funny.
Hey, what was it like buying that product? Was it easy to find the information on what foil to buy? Was it hard? Like, was it in stock? Was it out of stock? Like, how many different online dealers did I have to go through to like piece together a foil? And then when it shows up, like, how does it all go together? How many bolts are there? Like, are all the pieces in there? Is it easy? Is the, what does the wrench look like? Like tiny little stuff, but kind of just feeling that experience when you're buying it from a customer side, which for me, I've been working kind of in this water sports industry since I was 14 at Big One. So like, it had been a while since I'd actually like paid retail for stuff and just like experienced it as a customer and kind of just like took a step back. And so into the connection, you start putting everything together in the garage, different bolts, whatever, figuring it all out and kind of just looking through the connections and seeing sort of where we wanted to go. And I mean, the 3 kind of main connections I would say are the saddle connection, which is like maybe that's not the right term, but what like F4, F1. I think Mike Zychek was probably the first guy to have that one, which is a great connection. Then there's the, I would call it like a Tuttle style connection, which you see with Lift.
Code, whatever,
Lift is maybe the first one, and then Code, and there's a bunch of other brands with that. And then obviously the like Armstrong style connection, which I think maybe GoFoil, Alex Aguirre was the first one to have that kind of like conical design. So kind of riding all those, feeling different characteristics and stiffness and stuff, and then just talking to people on the beach that have them and kind of being like, hey, how do you like that connection system? And learning like, the saddle connection is really easy to put together and it's pretty damn stiff. But if the bolts get loose, and they have M6 bolts, like those could potentially shear. The tuttle connection is a great connection, probably maybe a little more durable than the saddle connection as far as like being able to have loose bolts and not breaking
because you're wedged.
But the tolerances are so
but the tolerance,
specific.
yeah, and they change over time. The more times you're putting that in and out there.
And I mean, we even noticed just like from the molds from the factory. I mean, it's something we've noticed on those tuttle styles where like, a wing made 6 months ago might just be slightly different, maybe because the molds are getting wore down or something. And then all of a sudden that connection's looser. Now we're, cramming duct tape and aluminum tape and stuff in there and trying to get it tight.
Yeah. I mean, these factories that are building foils are great factories. But it's probably not as automated as a system as most people would anticipate.
Yeah, like we're seeing like giant warehouses full of like robots and lasers and shit.
No, I mean, like,
not like that.
Connections they're coming out of a mold and then they're hand sanded and they're, tested in a wing or a jig or whatever they have there. And if, things can change,
no
there's
lasers.
hundreds of different employees coming out, like tolerances can definitely change. But yeah, so that connection is good, but it's, the tolerances are very important and it can sometimes lead to like, you got to freaking use a mallet to get your wing off or whatever. The conical design I think it's a little bit tricky to travel with sometimes. And, it kind of seems like people are just throwing more and more bolts at it. So like, how do we reduce
People are throwing more and more bolts at it. So it's time for something new.
So we just kind of looked at all that and we're like, what are the strengths and weaknesses in different areas that we think we can improve on? And Brody and his dad had been kind of thinking about this side bolt thing for a while, which,
we'll call it the logo.
The logo. There's going to be inherent weaknesses of every connection. So me sitting here with a new connection that's like half baked, being like, oh yeah, here's the problems that I've seen with
We fixed all of them.
After 10 years is a bit ridiculous, but you do have the opportunity to kind of look at everything and be like, all right, how can we maybe fix a couple of those potential downfalls of these connections? And that's what we came up with. And it's still like a work in progress for making modifications to molds right now. But I think it's headed in the right direction. I'm liking it. It's pretty simple. It's pretty rigid. 3 bolts. I like that there's no inserts in any of the parts. That kind of reduces any manufacturing defects, reduces costs of manufacturing.
Well, if something goes wrong, you just throw them a new plate. Right?
So
New titanium plate.
there's some.
Is it titanium?
That one is titanium. We'll have a stainless version as well, just because titanium is expensive. But I like titanium.
What about gold?
Gold. We do have some titanium gold melt plates. The titanium is cool because you can heat it up and kind of just pick your color.
Oh, you like anodize it or whatever, right?
Take a blowtorch to it. You can kind of just hold it there and tell.
Like, what color you want? You want green? You want purple? What you want, dog?
The color spectrum. So, yeah, definitely a unique connection. Still kind of fine tuning it and figuring out the issues with it and the advantages of it. But I think we're definitely pretty committed down that path at the moment. And
well, I mean, we got to try the foils today, and I mean, definitely felt super stiff. Like, that connection felt really good. Was like really snappy, and I mean, we can get into how the foils feel and your thoughts on that. But as far as like the connection, it seemed pretty rock solid.
Yeah, I think we're always going to be working to make it stiffer and make the wings stiffer and stuff. So we're stiffening it up. But what I do like about it is when it does feel like it flexes, it seems to kind of flex as a unit and not like a wobble.
Yeah.
Which, I think in most board sports, like some amount of predictable flex sometimes can be a performance advantage. I think in foils, for the most part, we're trying to reduce as much flex as possible because it just
because they're super
feels-
flexy innately from like conception, right? Like we just haven't had the material science to get it stiff enough that we're talking about, well, maybe it'd be nice if it was a little looser.
Yeah,
you know?
and I mean, man, the stiffness that foils have reached and the materials that are in them are pretty damn advanced right now, to the point of like most brands or a lot of brands are like pushing to like the top of the chart of like the stiffest stuff you can buy from Toray or Mitsubishi or these main carbon suppliers. Like if you look at a carbon mass compared to a carbon fiber bike, you know, a really nice carbon fiber bike is made out of like Toray T700, which is like the lowest grade of carbon that anyone is probably using in a
Thinking
foil
about
right
using it in
now.
a foil, yeah.
I mean, we're like, you know, 7-8 grades above that. Like, so
Jesus.
definitely the materials people are using in foils right now is extreme, especially if you want to push like, you know, having a real thin mass. And if you're battling like you want it to be stiffer, but you want it to be thinner at the same time. So it's just the price.
You want
keeps
everything,
running
Matt.
up on
I want it
materials.
thinner, faster, looser,
And then
more
Stiffer.
glide, better low end.
people are so
stiffer.
cracked out on foiling that they're along for the journey. They're like, let's fucking do it.
Let's do it. How much is it going to be?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Who gives a shit? So, yeah, I
I
think
mean, someone's got to come out with a $10,000 foil, right?
Someday.
You know, it's going there.
it's
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I saw a foil the other day that the SIC guys did. It was like a full one piece thing. I don't know if you guys saw that, but the
No.
mast was
Mass and everything.
glassed into the board, and then the wings are all glassed into the mast. Not really sure how you travel with that, but that could be getting there towards the $10,000.
$10,000.
I mean, really, we're not too far off $10,000 already when there's, you know,
When you put all the components
Yeah.
together, when you have the
Yeah.
board plus the mass plus the front foil,
I'm just talking about the front wing.
just the front. Oh, you want a $10,000 front wing? Well, we keep these tariffs going. We might get there.
Yeah, if the titanium thing keeps going, I mean, we could make you a $10,000 front wing if you want.
yeah. Be like,
Yeah,
dude, I
it's
got you,
like-
bro.
I could do that for you.
If you need a $10,000 foil, we'll build you.
Yeah, just DM me.
Yeah.
We'll make it happen, dude.
Well, that's what small companies can do, you know, one-offs.
The goal is to be as nimble. I mean, I think in foiling, what's cool about it is it's a small community and you don't need to be a big company to have a big impact. And a lot of these smaller companies are having some of the biggest impacts, in my opinion, because they're moving quicker than people and they're able to experiment quicker. And I think, you know, the bigger you get, for the most part, a lot of times, like the slower you get because you have, you know, complex, you got a lot of money flowing through the business and you've got distributors all over the world and, you know, different people that need to make a living and, you know, need to be pleased with the product so it can kind of slow things down. But I think what we've seen here in the last couple of years is, man, these small brands come in and they have a huge impact on it and they kind of like flip the industry on its head. I mean, even like Flight Lab, I guess, is not the best example because it's a big brand.
Yeah.
The guy, Chris, that started it, like, just was doing it in his backyard, it sounds like, and listening to the podcast with you guys, he's doing it in his backyard, and then he got the support of the brand and they were able to move quickly on it. So I think we want to keep that spirit of being small and nimble and having a small team and, you know, moving quickly in these different directions that we see, like the parrowing. You know, it's crazy to think the parrowing pretty much kind of started like this time last year when Greg brought the BRM stuff to town. And now it's like,
Take it
I
over.
can't picture life on the river without parrowinging now.
I know.
It is crazy to think, like, because I completely agree, dude. I just bought a pair. This was my first week with a parrowing last year. Was this week, right?
Yeah.
Because I got them right before AWSI. And yeah, what a journey, man. And you're right. Like now it's how, you know, I mean, probably lost basically everybody who paddled to parawing. There's like maybe 5% of the paddlers that were here last year because everybody's parawing. Now, this is, I think, a special place. I think parawing is taking off faster here than maybe anywhere else on the planet. But this is an incubator. It shows you where the sport's going. Like if parawing is doing this here, I mean, it's going to be doing it everywhere.
Yeah. I mean,
and now you got different boards and different thoughts on foils that go with that, right?
For sure. I mean, what we're riding with a parawing is different than what we were riding a year ago with a SUP, just because you have a fully different power source. And obviously, like, Hood River is a perfect place for parawinging. It's kind of funny when people come here for AWSI and I'm like, oh, well, like, it's kind of just really good for here. And I'm like, well, fuck yeah. Like, great.
Sounds good.
Here. It's perfect for here. Like, well, we're going to keep trying to build stuff that works well for what we're doing here. And I think, parawinging will expand the gear. The parawings are getting, exponentially better every couple months. I think next summer will be pretty epic to see all these different parawings come to light, and I'm excited to try them.
We were talking about just at AWSI, you saw all the V2s and stuff, prototypes out there that people were working on. Didn't get to handle all of them, but just seeing the way they're sailing, it's like you could tell there is a lot of great parawing technology coming in the next 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought AWSI was going to be like all parawing, but everyone's still a little bit hush hush because they're still not done yet. There's like, so there wasn't really much to show
Nothing
on
new.
the parawing side because everyone's still like, they don't want to rush because they've all got these parawings out and some of them are good, some of them aren't.
Well, the bar got set pretty high fast, right? With, Ozone kind of came out with like a really high performance one. Not that Greg's weren't great. They were amazing, but the Ozone definitely quickly, like everybody's like, oh man, this is kind of a new bar. And I'm sure that put a little pressure on the rest of the brands. Be like, well, if it's not as good as that, like we really shouldn't be releasing it, right? Or it's not going to have a good chance at market.
Yeah, I think not seeing a bunch of parawings at AWSI is not terribly surprising just because of when you think about the development cycles for that show. It's like they came here last year for the show. Most of them saw parawing kind of for the first time with the BRM parawing. They went turbo speed to get parawings in the market, which most brands, or a lot of brands, credit to them, like had their stuff out in July or sooner. So they did a pretty quick turnaround cycle. And I think a lot of them are probably like, just began development probably, I don't know, a month or so ago after finishing the first round.
Totally right.
To get them in the market. So I think the AWSI and the parawing development cycle is probably just a little bit off.
They're just off cycle. Yeah.
But hopefully that means that there's a bunch of new parawings to try in the spring and summer next year. And I'm sure there will be. So
they go pair gray with those Hydrocraft foils, right?
They will.
Do you still sup?
So, still supping.
Just get a t-shirt. I still sup.
Yeah.
I still sup.
I think it's
I still sup. It sucks.
I think it's kind of funny how the sup, like obviously everyone spent so much time learning how to sup.
It's because there was no way not to spend a lot of time learning to sup.
It's a hard sport. So like people gave their like lives to learning how to downwind sup. Like their wives were probably pissed at them for a year. Like they gave everything they could. They put their job on hold. They're down there like 3 days a week practicing. And then all of a sudden the parawing comes out and they're just
like shit, I could have learned in like a week.
A lot of them are like, I'm not doing that. Like I'm sticking with the paddle. Like I don't want other people to stop paddling. I'm like, people are still going to paddle when the conditions are, right for paddling. And they're still like, if you're going to do a really long run, like on Maui, the run isn't that crazy long. Malika runs, 10 miles. But like if it's around sunset, we're doing one last lap to end the day, I'm still going to take the paddle because I don't know what's going to happen with the wind in that run versus here, it's typically shorter 5-mile runs.
Also, worst case scenario, you just swim to the side of the river and get on the road. Right? Like anywhere you are, you can't really get in that much trouble.
Exactly.
You're 2 miles offshore on Maliko and Sharky Water.
So, I think for the long range stuff where conditions can change through the run, paddle supping is definitely a very viable option, and it's probably what I'll do in those situations. But
because
you
you
also
know,
can't deny like riding upwind, stashing it away, going back downwind.
Yeah, and being on a 5-foot board, like all those things are just so magic, right? Like popping it up, getting out to the wind line, like turning on the bumps whenever you feel like it, having all the gas in the tank because you didn't have to paddle up. I mean, there's a lot of layers to like why it makes it more fun and easy, right?
Yeah.
So that's why it's easy to go ahead and gravitate towards the Parawee.
A year ago, I probably would have said that, like, downwind supping is the apex of foiling experience for me, at least.
Yeah.
For as much fun as I can
Oh, I'm
have.
pretty sure we all would have said that.
And then now I would say that Parawing is kind of like
surpassed it.
Yeah, taking the top spot.
Well, because it's great.
It's so freaking fun out here, and you don't have to shuttle, and it gives you every part of downwinding that you want. Plus, I think you guys come from kiting as well. Like, it's fun to have that sailing element back into it. Like, I enjoy riding the Parawing back upwind. I don't enjoy when there's a hole and I'm screaming fuck. But when you're powered up on that thing and ripping upwind,
dude,
we're back, baby.
Oh, it's so good. It's so playful too, right? Like, because you can kind of whip it around like a kite, and things that the hand wing wasn't, in the same way, because it was so rigid and stiff. There's something about the playfulness kind of like reminds you of kite foiling, right? Which is super cool.
Yeah.
So you talked about distribution some. I kind of am making some assumptions, but I'm assuming your plan is to open a retail shop and you guys will be more direct to consumer, less retail shops at first, or am I asking business questions that aren't quite baked out yet?
No,
you guys build your sales plans?
No, I would say we're definitely in the early stages focusing on getting this retail storefront that's just around the corner from where
we're currently sitting. I know.
Getting that rolling, having product in there. With
you have good coffee and foils. I might be spending some money there, dude.
With a focus on D2C, but not saying by any means that we're not going to work with retailers. I think I would like to have, in the US at least, like if you start looking around the world, that changes the game. Right now, I'm pretty much focused on like the US market, and let's start small and see what we can do there before we look other places. There's really a small handful of retailers that I think are like really solid retailers with super driven foilers in there that know the product in and out. So while
there's also a lot of bad ones.
Yeah. I'm not gonna hide from the fact that we want to sell online and have like a direct relationship with our customers, but I think there's also opportunity to work with retailers in probably a little bit of a different setup than what's typically happening. Like in the water sports world, how it usually works is there's a brand somewhere. Say that brand is in France. They'll have a U.S. distribution in the U.S. That distributor sells to the retailer, and the retailer sells the product. So there's a lot of forecasting, planning, pre-books that have to happen.
I hate pre-books.
So
we just talked about this earlier.
Yeah. There's all these kind of commitments that need to happen so far in advance of that product actually getting in the customer's hand that it really it slows down the process a lot. When you have to, have products here for AWSI that you're selling next summer, like you have to have those products done and developed now, and like you're not really going to be able to change them between now and when the dealer gets them. So short answer to the question is we've got our shop here in town. We'll have a website, we'll sell them there, and we'll work with the retailers that we love working with and that stand behind the brand, and we'll make it work with them in any way we can. And it's probably not going to be like hey man, you got to freaking pre-book $100,000 worth of gear to have it. It's like, I would almost look at that as more of a like, even if we're not making a very good margin selling into a retailer, it's almost like a marketing thing. Like, hey, we've got someone there that knows the product really well. They're giving the customer a great experience. And ultimately, my goal with all of this and what I think is the most important is like, are we delivering the best product to the customer we can with the best experience at the best price? And like along the way to do that, like how can we make it work for other people like retailers? And so I think we'll take probably a slightly unorthodox approach in that way, but we'll work with a small handful of retailers that we like working with and that stand behind the brand and find a way that it works for them and works for us. And we're not going to hide from the fact that like we have a shop here and we have a website. I think a lot of times people want to play both games and like, we're a wholesale business. We love the retailers, but at the same time, they're like blowing their stuff out on their website direct to consumer. So it's a tricky
game to play, right? Like, because you don't want to undercut
tricky balance to
retailers.
play. Exactly. So I think just having a tight connection with the retailers we're working with will be key.
Well, it's all about getting them to drink the Kool-Aid, right? If they're drinking the Kool-Aid, then they're bought into your product because they believe in it. And if they believe in it, their customers are going to believe in it, right? I mean, I think that speaks a lot to how you run your shop. Like when somebody talks to Dylan's telling him straight up, he completely believes in the products he's selling. He's authentic about it, and they've created this trust relationship. And so when you can find retailers that have that and they're bought into your gear, I mean, all of a sudden it's an extension of your company, right? Opposed to just being a random dude selling a random product on a wall. Now he's a Hydrocraft salesperson who's fully invested and tells everybody how much he loves the gear and how he rides it, and that just changes the game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we want to have a connection with retailers. It's like, Dylan's in town all the time. Like, dude, come by, like, ride all the new gear. We don't need to have a giant meeting to walk you through all the new stuff because you're already like,
just come hang out, bro.
You've already written it and are kind of in the loop of what's going on. And the reality is like, there's not that many stores right now in the US that are like really focused on selling foils, and we're not talking about like 200 dealers. We're talking about like 10 or less.
Exactly. Got great foil shops like N1 Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I sell one kite a month now. It's pretty sad.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's crazy because it was like all you sold when we first met. I mean, it was a kite shop.
It is a kite shop. But
that sells foils.
That sells foils.
Kiting is still.
You sell more flip flops than
no, but we do a lot more kite lessons. But still, yeah, it's just a totally different client. Foilers, they're a different breed. They're sick. They're sick. They're sick in the head.
I think what gets me fired up about foiling too is watching, windsurfing, kiting, winging. It was always kind of an evolution of those wind sports. And it wasn't necessarily a lot of new people coming in that were like coming from other sports excited about it. It was like a kiter moving from winging or a windsurfer moving to kiting. And now with foiling, we're starting to see like, and it's taken a lot longer than I probably expected or would have hoped, but it's like surfers are starting to get into it. Snowboarders are looking at it and getting into it. And all of a sudden we're drawing from a larger pool, which makes me really believe in the long term of the sport. And just like, I don't see people getting as burned out as quickly on foiling. Maybe that's because we're here and the conditions are great for it. But I see people like get into it. And when I talk to my friends, they're like, I'm foiling like forever. Like, sure, maybe the way we get on the swell will change over time. But like that general feeling of foiling is highly addictive and something that's just, I think it's good for you. It's fun. It's low impact. Like it's something that it feels like, man, I could do this
for a long time
for the next 50 years. And just, seeing snowboarders like Jeremy Jones and Travis Rice and the Florence brothers on the surf side, and, Chris Rasman, another pro snowboarder, like these guys are at the top of their sports, like doing video game shit that you only dream of being able to do on that craft. And they're getting into foiling.
Totally.
And they're like, this is fucking awesome. And you're like, all right.
I guess
Well,
this is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
These guys think it's
Yeah.
awesome. It must be awesome.
Yeah. So that's been fun to watch. And I think it's gone in its little like stages almost. It's like surfers kind of got into foiling a little bit when like the original surf foil, Go Foil Kai and that stuff came out. And then they kind of like got out of it because maybe the performance
the gear wasn't there, yeah.
like totally there yet. And now you see people get on the stuff and they're just like,
Oh shit, yeah.
hooked.
That's what I was going to say too, is like,
Yeah.
because the gear's gotten so much better, it's that much easier to get people into the sport. I mean,
Yeah.
it is phenomenally easier.
Performs at such a high level.
Yeah,
you know?
totally. Like, think about learning to downwind now versus the foils we were all learning to downwind on 2 years ago. I mean, that's 2 years, and it is night and day, probably the difference in your evolution, because we've got faster foils with better low end and better range that turn better or more stable, right?
That are smaller, that are faster.
Exactly. You know, and
I
it's
gotta think you're in the marketing team.
yeah, whatever. So yeah, I can see it. And when you were talking about too, it's like, dude, foiling's great everywhere. Like, you can turn garbage conditions. Florida used to be one of the worst places to probably live and be a surfer, and now it is one of the greatest foiling surf destinations on the planet, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it really does
On the
change.
planet.
Foil surf destination on the planet. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Or third. I think Progression Podcast tells that all the time. I think it's based around the fact that Florida is the greatest surf destination on the planet. But yeah, I just think it gets people into the sport, you know, like the gear's getting better everywhere you're living. I promise the conditions are going to be fun, right? Like, whether it's flat water or you're in the ocean or whatever, there's a way to foil that's fun.
There's
Yeah.
scooters.
Scooter, baby.
Yeah. Scooters are cool.
I can't wait to see the Hydrocraft scooter. It is going to be sick.
Where'd the name come from?
The name kind of came from one, I think we're building foils and boards first, but we want to kind of incorporate the other sports that we are part of our lifestyle, which is, you know, surfing, snowboarding, kiteboarding. So eventually we'd kind of like to bring some of those products either, you know, into what we're doing, or bring people from those sports into what we're doing on the foil side. So building some surfboards down the line, kite surfboards, and not necessarily like, not looking at the surfboard market being like, oh yeah, we're going to go in there and freaking kick ass. But it's like, if we see an opportunity to use, you know, some of the composites knowledge that we have, or things that we're learning on the foil side, because the foil side is really like, I feel kind of at the top of like the progression that's happening in water sports as far as equipment goes. We'd love to be able to bring some of that stuff back into surfboards, snowboards maybe someday, kite surfboards, and the Hydrocraft name is kind of like the, you know, the nucleus of crafts
thread
that
that
we're,
connects it all together. Yeah.
that we're riding. But
We'll count snow as water, right?
yeah, I mean, it's certainly a form of water. But yeah, that's kind of the genesis of the name, is this like nucleus of like-minded people that are into foiling, surfing, maybe it's kiting or snowboarding or whatever, and kind of bringing them into this foil world, or getting, you know, foilers that are, you know, foiling here in the river on the freaking shortboard fish on the coast at some point.
Right.
Expanding that kind of lifestyle, which is like how I was raised, and I think what we all like to do. Mix it up a little bit. Like, foiling is definitely what I'm the most addicted to, but I still love surfing. I still love kiting, and trying to, I think, promote that lifestyle, which I would call like the it's funny, one of our friends that's like a core surfer would always, he calls us the Lennies, because it's kind of like the Kai Lenny effect of like
Yeah. I just want
having all the tools in the quiver and doing a little bit of everything and keeping it fresh.
Yeah, I think it's the great thing about, you know, well, obviously you're talking about other sports that don't relate to foiling, but one of the nice things about foiling is that it does keep us even just within the foiling space, it keeps your skill sets diverse, right? Because there's so many disciplines within foiling. And honestly, to get to parawinging, you probably had to learn all of them, right? If you've been in this for a while, like, I mean, the first thing I saw was a kite foil, right? And the kite foil took me to a wing foil, and the wing foil took me to prone foiling and toe surfing and all these other things. And then, now we've come to this journey of downwinding with the SUP, which was brutal.
Yeah.
And the parawing, which is much less brutal and joyful.
I think if you're into foiling hardcore, you have to enjoy learning.
Yeah. You have to enjoy the struggle.
Not be afraid to learn or look like an idiot out there trying to figure out the new thing.
Walt does that all the time.
Yeah.
80% of my sessions, I just look like an
It's
idiot.
easy
But
to.
like
He's
10%
like
wouldn't be
flying by you a million miles an hour, attacking on the parawing.
Oh man, what a great week, man. It was windy.
Oh, yeah. We
whole
should
time.
talk about that for a second. What an
Perfect.
epic week. Yeah.
Yeah. Too bad you had to go.
You had to go to a wedding.
Had
It sounded like it was an epic wedding.
dog barf in your car.
That was diarrhea.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's even
Yeah,
worse.
that was rough, but it's good. It's good to take a break every once in a while. From
Yeah, I know,
the
for
wind.
sure.
It's from April until now, and the real diehards here will tell you, oh, it never stops. But like, there are a lot of windy days here in the summer. Like this,
It's
like
dude,
second summer
I am
here. Like,
I'm worn down, dude.
yeah, you kind of lose. You don't lose the froth, but you lose the FOMO maybe.
Yeah, you lose
Where you're
the
like,
FOMO.
I kind of know probably what those conditions
Yeah.
look like, and like there'll be more of them, and there's been plenty of them. So, but this place is a freaking wind machine like no other.
Mm-hmm.
So
When can people get your foils? Because I know you launched it. It's out there
yeah,
and about it.
yeah.
What do you got at the first little
show
bit
me
of
what you
launch
got.
here?
So we've got the first round of boards just went into production, so I'll have those early winterish. The foils will probably be a month or two behind those.
You want to talk real quick about the boards? Like, what are you going to be launching with as far as board sizes and shapes ish?
Yeah, so we've got like 20 different board sizes that we've been developing in models, which moves from a toe foil board up to a SUP foil board. The first boards we're going to really bring out are the mid-length boards, so 45, 55, 65, 75,
Mm-hmm.
80, and a couple of SUP boards. But I think probably where I see the most opportunity in the immediate future are these kind of longer mid-length boards for parawinging.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of the mid-length boards that are in the market now were more developed as like mid-length wing boards or for prone foiling.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we definitely want to be quick on that, of being kind of at the forefront of the parawing
specific.
specific mid-length boards. And not to say they don't work great for like winging or prone foiling or whatever, but there is a little bit of like just fine-tuning the dimensions and stuff there that work really well for parawinging. So
Totally agree.
we'll have those out first, and then foil wise, I think we'll probably start to ship some stuff in January or February, but with a goal of having a more built out line going into like April and May, and having by the time we open this shop up here in April, we should have full line of boards, foils, bags. The first foils we've been working on are more of that like 10 aspect ratio kind of surfy downwind foil. Also work in small waves to kind of pump out, but an easy, friendly foil that still gives you some performance. But by next race season, we want to have the tapered mass and like the real high aspect kind of race wing. So kind of timing product launches with the different seasons and what's happening. So make sure we have some 10 aspect ratio foils for here in the spring when the gorge starts firing, and then we'll have some downwind foils right behind those. And as soon as I get back to Maui, we'll kind of start getting the smaller surf foils and tow foils and stuff
Super exciting, man.
in the water. But well, you know, the goal with launching it now is to kind of build a little bit of excitement and kind of show people a little bit behind the scenes and like bring them with us a little bit, but
Yeah,
not
cool.
necessarily like, I don't want to like dangle a carrot in front
Dangle
of people.
product,
And
yeah.
like, oh, like it's going to be here now. It's not like, when we're ready to launch product, we'll make sure we have them and we'll make sure they're ready to go and dialed in for the customer. But I don't want to like lead people on like a wild goose chase of like waiting for a product.
Well, we've seen that now
for
work
a
out for
year.
brands, you know, recently too, like where it's just production's tough. Overseas production is very challenging, you know, and like make a lot of commitments when you don't actually have
Greg does that great.
He does an amazing job.
Yeah. No.
He doesn't even
Launch a
talk about
product,
something until he has it
And
in
then
hand.
it's like at my door 2 days later.
Yeah. And that's
It's-
what Greg is in is almost
It's kind
exactly
of
what I'm talking
Yeah.
about as far as like being small and nimble. Like
Yeah.
it's him and his wife or girlfriend running the thing. And
Yeah.
you know, he freaking gets it done, and when he launches a product, like you have it. Like when he launched the Pairwing last year and he showed up at the hatch, like I had gone on the night that he posted the video, and, like placed an order for 3 of them because I'm like, I gotta try these. And then he just sends me an email. He's
Because
like,
we're all
dude, we're
addicted.
gonna be at the hatch tomorrow in my van. Like I've got the Pairwings with me, and I was like, that's freaking badass. He's
amazing.
like, he just launched this whole sport and then showed up the next day and had
With
it
a
like,
van
ready
full
to
of
go.
them.
I'm like, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it was great. Built up good inventory. He did do it right. And I mean, you know, hats off to Greg for being you know, a big driver of it. Obviously, Sam Reynolds and
Yeah.
the Pocket Wing and stuff were part of the journey too. But you know, he really kind of got it out there at the forefront. We saw something we could use, and then it kind of exploded from there, right? So
There's an incredible amount of very creative people in this industry that have put a lot of hard work in to get it where it's at. And man, but I think the gear has like just gotten so much better in the last 3 years. It's impressive to watch. Even just watching videos of AWSI today, it's like it almost makes your head spin watching like all the different avenues people are going down and all the development that's happened. Like for as small as this sport is, I think we're pretty lucky to have the brands and some really smart people in it that are doing a hell of a job of pushing the envelope.
Not much offering, you know.
in it. Yeah. Yeah.
That's great.
Well, I think foiling, you know, you got to be a little special to be involved in foiling and engaged in foiling. And like, there's a little nerdy engineering in you, like just to be part of the sport because it's so gear intensive and stuff. And I think, you know, we're reaping the benefits. I think you also, when you meet a lot of foiling community, everybody has an interesting backstory, right? Everybody did something kind of end up in this sport. And whether it was like a pedigree of coming from windsurfing and stuff or being in other industries and finding it.
Fishing's like that.
Fishing's like that. Walker's new favorite pastime fishing.
Yeah. I heard him in the parking lot. I was like, yeah, I've been fishing a lot. It's way more technical than foiling, dude. I was like, what? What are you talking about? I was like,
I think he's right. Probably
it could be.
Yeah. Anyways, well, dude, super great to talk to you. All of us are so frothed up on, you know, seeing your brand come to life and seeing these foils. Obviously, been watching you guys shred in the gorge and finally got to feel them today, and they feel awesome. So really excited to see, you know, where this all ends up, and another great entry into the market.
Well, awesome. Well,
wish you good luck.
thank you guys. Appreciate it. And thanks for doing the podcast and giving me something to listen to during the day. It's cool to get people on here a little unfiltered and just kind of hear their stories. And I mean, I learn more about what's happening in the industry from podcasts than probably anything else. So it's cool having guys like you spend the time to put all this together and get.
Yeah, we worked super hard today to get ready for this. So
You're welcome. This is hard work, man. Well, thank you so much.
Awesome.
Man.
Thank you guys.
Sweet. Good work, buddy.